CEO of TeamsynerG Global Consulting and the co-leader of the IDWIM Organizing Committee, will moderate our first roundtable discussion about the evolving role of allies and the co-creation of new systems of ownership, equity, and influence. Joining us from Canada, Tanzania, and Central America, it is my greatest pleasure to introduce our speakers. We have Gabriela Juarez, the founder of WIM Central America and president at CTA Environmental Consultants. Mecktilder, head of Continental and Diaspora Affairs Council of African Youth in Minerals Executive, secretary of Tanzania Women in Mining, and co-founder of Woow. Heather Gamble, co-founder and CEO of Artemis project. And lastly, we have Justin Clark, Health and Safety Manager at New Gold, New Afton. And now I will hand it over to Audrey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Audrey Hlembizky, and I'm honored to serve as your moderator for our first discussion, The Power of Allies. First, I want to acknowledge each of you, our guests, panelists, and global community for being here as we celebrate International Day for Women in Mining. This day is a bold declaration of visibility, value, and voices for women across the industry. Allyship is not a title. It's a conscious daily practice of using our influence, presence, and our voice to create safe spaces, shift systems, and stand for others. In an industry where tradition often defines tone, allyship requires courage, humility, and action. Today, we're joined by leaders who are not just speaking about allyship, they're living it. They are reshaping what inclusion, ownership, and shared power look like from within. To begin this conversation, I want to ground us in one of the most critical places where allyship shows up or doesn't, and that is in safety culture. Our first panelist understands that safety is not just about procedures. It's about the presence and creating systems where everyone, especially women, can thrive, contribute, and feel they truly belong. Justin Clark is the Health and Safety Manager who has gone beyond compliance. His leadership reflects what allyship looks like in action. So welcome, Justin. Justin, in your role leading health and safety, how have you intentionally created systems, spaces, or cultural shifts that support the inclusion, safety, and advancement of women in your operations?
Good morning, Audrey. Thank you. Here at New Afton, we're an underground block cave mine with 739 employees and 139 women working in various roles from underground maintenance, process plant, technical, and support roles. We believe inclusion starts with creating spaces that are both physical and cultural that support a lived experience where everyone belongs. At New Gold, our philosophy is courage to care, which is grounded in 3 core principles. We never compromise on safety, we always look out for one another, and we stop work if it's not safe. When we look out for one another, that also includes things that are important to people. We identified several tangible steps to support women at New Afton in feeling included, comfortable, and safe at site. So as part of advancing inclusion in our operations, we started with the expansion of a women's change room, and then we built a separate gender-neutral change room facility, providing more inclusive and accessible options for everyone. Next, we addressed the selection of PPE. While we've had women's coveralls for many years, we recently introduced a 2-piece option of PPE designed specifically for women, which offers obviously more comfort and practicality, especially when we're working long shifts underground. We also identified that some of the most minor things were also overlooked, and we recently installed menstrual hygiene product dispensers in our underground and surface washroom facilities to ensure access when needed. This was something that was so small for us to do, yet big, meaningful action for the women here at New Afton.
Amazing, Justin. These small little things have a big impact on people's life, and thank you for your commitment to do those thoughtful types of actions. I want to really now focus on, Justin, can you share a specific initiative or decision that made a measurable difference? And, really to support the other leaders who are on this call today who might want to take similar action, but really aren't sure where to start.
Sure. With female representation having been historically low, our human resources team intentionally prioritized diverse recruitment efforts, which provided to increase the number of women at our site. And I believe this is due to our prioritization of authentic initiatives that are meaningful, from women being represented across all levels of our site and all committees, ensuring that we listen and implement ideas that come from the voices of women. And so today, our Joint Occupational Health and Safety Committee and our Employee Engagement Committee have women representatives compared to a decade ago when those committees were either non-existent or they were predominantly male. In my role specifically overseeing emergency response and preparedness, I also focus on making our fire and mine rescue teams more inclusive. A recent change that was an addition to our a flex dry space that we recently created in our emergency services building. This allowed for more privacy when changing, which I hope actually potentially breaks down potential barriers for future women applicants. This was especially important, encouraging women who may not have felt comfortable changing in that original open concept team change room dry facility. And I'm actually really proud to say that we currently have 4 women actively participating in our fire mine rescue teams, and they're each equipped with properly fitted turnout gear. Also, a change starts with policy, and our human resources team has done an amazing job strengthening policies such as respectful workplace and diversity, equity, inclusion. And I feel that we've also really moved the needle in the language that we use to elevate the standard to a psychologically safe environment for women and for everyone. But beyond supporting women directly on site, we also looked at our policies that can impact the women within our community. And for example, we revised our pregnancy and parental leave policy last year to provide greater flexibility and support. It not only benefits women returning from leave, but it also supports partners taking parental leave to help their spouse re-enter the workforce, whether it be at our site or elsewhere in the community. And lastly, on a personal note, I'm a father of 2 daughters. I want to be able to say that we've created a workplace that sees them, supports them, and sets them up to succeed, not just in policy, but in practice. And I often ask myself, what I want to see my daughters working here.
Wow. Justin, I think all of us would agree that having a place that people feel safe and can really experience dignity is very important. And all of this work that you've been doing at New Afton we can really see the kind of significant differences when these initiatives are put in place. So thank you. Yeah, so now allyship isn't just about men supporting women. And Justin has really shared so many incredible initiatives from his leadership. It's also about women supporting women by challenging systems, creating access, and rewriting the narrative of what can actually be possible. Our next panelist, Anna, embodies the work on every level. As the founder of Women in Mining Central America, the author of Anna's Adventures in Mine, intended to inspire our younger generation of girls to come into mining, and the president of an environmental consulting firm. Anna, you have spent your career turning advocacy into action. Now, through your leadership in consulting across countries and cultures, what decisions or strategies have you deliberately used to create real visible change for women in mining, especially environments where inclusion wasn't built into the system?
So thank you. Good morning, Audrey. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for the opportunity for being here. And I'm very proud to represent today as well the Central American region. Woohoo! So I've learned that in environments where inclusion isn't built sometimes in the system, you don't have to really wait for the system to change. Sometimes you have to become that disruption. So when I started working in mining in Central America, because I'm from Guatemala, I was often the only woman in the room, and sometimes the only person even raising the topic of gender inclusion and more women in the room. So I really stopped asking for a seat at the table and built my own. That's how really Women in Mining Central America was born. We didn't wait for perfect condition, but we created the momentum with what we had. So one key strategy that has worked really for us across our countries and cultures, don't start necessarily with policies, start with people. So I sit down with women operations, with human resource teams, with leaderships, and I ask them, okay, where are the gaps? Where is the resistance? And maybe also where are the quick wins? Because meaningful actions start small. Sometimes it might look like you have to start a mentoring circle at a site or inviting male allies into conversation like we just heard. But then also it grows into awareness campaigns, into scholarships, into career pipelines, or so many other options as well. But I think the most important decision I made was to stop asking the culture if the culture was ready and to start acting as if it already was. Because when you walk into a space with that mindset, you just don't bring change, but you become it. So I think maybe my key takeaway from this and from this question, Audrey, is if the system wasn't built for you, build something stronger. Start with one
Wow.
conversation, with one connection, one action. So real change doesn't really need permission. It needs courage. And that's what I'm asking from everyone that's also hearing and at this event today.
Thank you, Anna. It's so powerful that we need to be the ones to advocate for ourselves, and little by little by little, we're going to get there. So thank you, Anna. And when you hear what Anna and Justin has shared, it's allyship is not only found in policies or programs. Sometimes it's built directly into the livelihoods of the communities. And our next panelist, Mecktilder, is a passionate advocate of youth engagement in the minerals and mining sector. And she's really creating unique opportunities that partner with local women miners. From the mine to market, the women she works with not only extract the process and process the stones, but they also profit from them. Work shows us that what allyship really looks like when it's rooted in shared ownership, economic justice, and community empowerment is something we can all begin to adopt no matter where we are in the world. So, Mecktilder, in your work directly with youth and local women miners, what does allyship look like when it's grounded in community and long-term empowerment?
Thank you, Audrey. Good afternoon from East Africa. Well, I started as a small-scale miner in Tanzania and then moved to Mozambique. Back then, I didn't know much. There was no network, no platform, and all that. But what I had was a grit and a vision that women like me deserve more than survival. We deserve to thrive. And that gave birth to Tanzania Women in Mining and Mineral Industry. Today, we work hand in hand with women and youth, from miners in the rural pits to traders in the city markets to geologists and engineers and to local service providers, value addition entrepreneurs too. So allyship to us means inclusion with intention. It means not only opening doors, but making sure women and youth own the keys to those doors. It is in cooperatives in Mwanza where young women in mining, they mine responsible, learning finances, reinvesting in their families. It is in the gemstone traders in Arusha, mentoring a young teenager who once thought mining was only for men. It is through youth miners in Shinyanga, now trading regionally, because someone believed in him or her and potentially and offered a chance. So allyship isn't just support, it is solidarity. It is in building a system that do not only use local talent, but uplift together for the miners and the communities in those mining areas.
Oh, Mecktilder, I mean, the support, the solidarity, creating the types of systems that are unified in a way for people to prosper. And you really are a walking, talking example of that. And I thank you on behalf of the entire world. So thank you. So when we look at allyship, it really is an opportunity, like our speakers have shared today, to open those doors. And opening those doors look a different way for everybody, no matter where you are in the world. Even the most powerful systems can be changed from one culture to the next. And when we look at whether our next panelist, as the founder of Artemis Project, you really have advanced women-owned businesses in mining and focusing on the procurement equity side of supporting women consultants. You are also creating programs like the Artemis Project that creates cross-border learning opportunities by sponsoring women mining engineers. And Heather, we would like to know, you have built real structures that prioritize women's advancement, especially in procurement and cross-border learning. What have you found to be the most effective when allyship is tied to economic opportunity and access to decision making?
Well, thank you, Audrey. Thank you so much to everyone for being here today and supporting us and our fellow panelists and around this topic. I just feel there's probably 1,000 different examples of allyship from this incredible body of women in mining around the world. And I just happen to be a little slice that focuses in entrepreneurs. And so we started out very organically. I wasn't from mining. I started the first women's entrepreneurial business accelerator in Canada. And it just really organically happened that I met my first mining engineer, female mining engineer. And so I didn't have that background saying, and I didn't understand there was a problem in the low representation until I started working in mining in more depth, obviously. However, Anna's talked about how you just go in there and, you just own it and you see a way and you go in and lead that. Well, being an entrepreneur is much like that as well. And so what I've seen, it really was an intention to lift other women entrepreneurs of all industries. And then specifically, I just started working in mining, and with one entrepreneur, with another entrepreneur, I didn't have any intention of changing any systems or disrupting anything in mining, none at all. And then all of a sudden, I just started working with these incredible women-owned businesses in mining, and the response we were getting, and I couldn't believe that they were actually the least represented group across mining. Less than 1% of women-owned businesses are in the procurement, are in the supply chain. So we're at the 1% club. And I just felt they're incredible. They're so competent, capable. And the only thing they needed that I could offer was a little lift up to senior level management, a little lift into some senior level networking, and some visibility. And so really Artemis, it absolutely started organically. And as a result, it's really cool because of all of us of Artemis have now changed the system. We've now introduced, and I remember when we first started, Yamana Gold said to us, "You're going to change standards." And I'm thinking, standards? How am I going to change any standards in mining? I mean, I'm Heather, the entrepreneurial woman in Canada. Anyhow, I must say, it's through the dedication, the purposeful, the intention of all the Artemis women-owned businesses that we got together and continue to evolve as we continue today and develop and bust through the system. And so now I'm very, very, very beyond pleased to say we have developed gender responsive procurement. And we have studied it, we brought it in, best practices from other areas. And we are leading this, much to Anna's point. There wasn't a gender responsive procurement before. Now there is. And Artemis is leading that. And so I really believe it's, or certainly from my experience, it wasn't, I probably had blinders on and I just put my head down with all the other women and decided we're going for it. And going for it, what did that mean? It meant raising visibility, raising awareness for these incredible women-owned businesses in mining that are just doing phenomenal solutions and services, of which, Audrey, you are one. So, and then to, to really what has been really taken it and really put it, like busted the system, was that we started at the top leadership. We started with CEOs, had conversations with CEOs, shared what we're doing. And then we, really mobilized tangible benefits and outcomes and targets. However we frame those targets, but those 3 T words have been and enabled us to really bust through and create a brand new subject matter, if you will. And the subject matter really is, at the end of the day, of lifting these incredible women and giving them access into the procurement, which we all know is massive in mining, and moving the
Amazing,
1%
Heather.
club. Yeah, right on, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really important for economic prosperity, opportunity, and equity for all, that we need to place the people in front of the decision makers. And I would think everyone would agree you've definitely been successful of that. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us today. And as we close out this discussion, I want to thank each of our panelists for the value, leadership, and action you have brought to this conversation. You really are the true demonstrations of creating systems, to pushing up against the barriers, to dealing with the resistance and the naysayers, and just get back up and do it again. And we want to thank you. And now we want to hear from all of you. So what we're going to do is take a moment to reflect together through the following poll questions. So the first question is, what is the greatest barrier to allyship in your organization? So 1, lack of awareness or skill building. 2, no formal systems for advancement or mentorship. 3, leadership resistance for allyship is not seen as part of the business strategy. 4, all of the above. 5, other reasons. And please share in the chat. You can see that all the above had the highest number. And you can look at number 2, no formal systems for advancement or mentorship. And I would say that every expert we have had on the call today has pushed through those barriers to advance those systems. And all of us together collectively can really unite in our allyship to move this industry forward in a way where everyone truly and authentically really feels like they belong here and there's a future for us. So thank you. Thank you for your participation.